I want you to imagine you are a musician. You've spent years perfecting your voice, your tone, your style, and one day an AI spits out a song that sounds exactly like you. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening right now. Some say this technology is revolutionary, that AI will empower musicians, leveling the playing field and sparking new genres we've never heard before. Others say it's built on stolen art, exploiting real musicians to flood streaming platforms with synthetic songs that dilute what it really means to be a musician in the first place. In this video, we're gonna ask the question, is AI music the next revolutionary tool, or is it theft at scale? Let's break it down. So in the past few years, the use of artificial intelligence in music has accelerated rapidly. What began as experimental tools for generating melodies and chords has really evolved into platforms that produce entire songs, often indistinguishable to the casual listener, from those written by real human artists. It's the kind of thing that would have sounded absurd like a few years ago, but now you can basically log into a site, type in sad indie pop with a Fleetwood Mac vibe, and in like 30 seconds, you have a song that's basically ready for Spotify.
You said you'd stay till the morning light. Now the tide rolls in and you're out of sight. Your sweater still hangs on my old chair, but there's no trace of you in the midnight air.
These models do not simply learn from stylistic references, they're built from the catalogs of real artists whose recordings have been scraped, basically repurposed to teach machines how to replicate human expression. So this has led to a mounting frustration among musicians and songwriters. Prominent figures like Billie Eilish and Nicki Minaj have publicly condemned the practice, framing it as a form of digital appropriation. Independent artists too have voiced concern that their distinctive voices, arrangements, and creative identities are being used without credit or compensation to train technologies that could ultimately replace them. AI developers, startup founders, and supporters of generative AI tools often argue that these systems represent the next logical step in musical evolution. From their perspective, resistance to AI is framed as outdated thinking. So there's a common defense of AI-generated music that it's basically no different than how human musicians learn. The argument basically goes, all music is derivative, every artist is inspired by somebody else, so if an AI trained on thousands of songs, how is that any different from a musician who grew up listening to them? It's a fair sounding point, but it oversimplifies what's actually happening. Human artists are influenced by the music they hear. That's always been part of the creative process. But there's a clear distinction between somebody being inspired by somebody's work and building a system that consumes thousands of recordings without permission, extracts their patterns, and generates something from that material. It doesn't create from memory or feeling, it replicates patterns statistically, based on training data. It's not inspired by music, it's trained on it. And there's a legal distinction too. If a human songwriter just lifts a melody and samples a track, they are expected to license it. But when the AI model learns from thousands of copyrighted works, that training is often done behind the scenes with no compensation to the creators whose music made the model even possible. So this growing divide has raised a central unresolved question. Is the current wave of AI music empowering creators, or is it systematically displacing them? So let's talk about what the law actually says right now. The legality of training AI music models on copyrighted songs remains unsettled. In the United States, multiple lawsuits are currently testing whether using copyrighted works in AI training qualifies as fair use. One of the more visible flashpoints was the viral spread of AI-generated tracks mimicking Drake and The Weeknd. Beyond voice cloning, artists point to a broader imbalance. The training process extracts value from the entire creative history of recorded music, but none of that value then flows back to the musicians or artists. But none of this really hit mainstream attention until the lawsuit started. In 2024, the Recording Industry Association of America filed a major lawsuit against two leading AI music startups, Suno and Udio. The suit alleges that both companies engaged in large-scale copyright infringement by training their models on copyrighted sound recordings without permission. The RIAA is seeking statutory damages and legal injunctions that could halt the company's operations if successful. The industry rejects the idea that fair use can retroactively justify copying music catalogs at scale. The pushback is intensifying from policy to litigation, and it's becoming clear that many in the creative world see AI training without consent as a direct attack on their livelihoods. Startups like Suno and Udio built their models by scraping huge amounts of music online. Suno even admitted that its model was trained essentially on all music of reasonable quality available online. These companies argue that their use of copyrighted material is transformative, that the AI doesn't copy exact songs, but instead learns general patterns of music creation. So the emergence of AI-generated music has really outpaced regulation, and this is not surprising at all. Technology tends to move faster than policy in almost every case I can think of. And that's exactly why we need a legal and ethical framework in place now before this damage becomes irreversible. At the center of this framework should be artist participation and compensation. Musicians should have the ability to opt into AI training models. If their music is used to improve a system's capabilities, they deserve to be paid. This could happen at the distribution stage. Services like DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby could allow artists to tag their uploads as available for model licensing in exchange for royalties. It's not difficult to implement. What's missing here is the incentive and the industry pressure to do it. That said, we also need to stop treating AI as inherently evil. If the tools are used responsibly and artists are paid, there's really no reason to panic. So maybe the real distinction isn't about whether AI was used, but how? There's a massive difference between a songwriter using AI to spark ideas they then develop versus somebody who just uses ChatGPT for the lyrics, ChatGPT for the chords, ChatGPT for everything, putting that into Suno, and then just basically uploading that raw output directly to Spotify. Like, one is a collaboration and the other is just pushing buttons, and that's exactly what you fuckers do, who are prompters, who call yourself musicians now. You're not musicians, first of all, and you never will be unless you pick up a fucking instrument or start singing. I think music platforms need to step up. We need a simple indicator for altered content, just like we have on YouTube. Just like something on the song that says AI influenced or partially generated. Maybe it's like a little checkbox you click when you're uploading your music. And if the creator lies about it, and if the platform has like good enough detection systems to identify that it's AI, take that shit down. The system doesn't need to be punitive, but we as creators and artists, we just gotta be honest. So where does that leave us? AI's here, like there's nothing we're gonna be able to do about it. And it's not a question of like when it's gonna shape music, because we're already there, but more like how we choose to let it shape our music. The solution here is not to hate on the tech. Artists should be empowered and compensated and not exploited. But let me know what you think. Should artists be able to license their work to AI? Is this tech helping or hurting creativity? Let me know down below in the comments and hit subscribe if this made you think, and I'll see you in the next video.